topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Experts show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to another Ask the Experts, where we bring you the finest experts in the areas of financial, health, legal, home improvement. I'm telling you, today I'm so excited. I should pat myself on the back because you've been asking for us to have a mortgage lender on our show, an expert, which is not easy to find, but I'm going to tell you something. We found one of the top mortgage lenders in the state of California. We are so blessed. Let me welcome you to Jackie Barracon. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, how are you?
You look good. You look fine now. We fixed it.
Yay.
Yay. You're looking good. So, Jackie, first of all, I'm so glad we have you with us. I know very little about mortgages. I could never be an expert like you. You know, I know the mortgage business isn't so great right now with what's happening with loans, but you know what? We got the best, and we're going to educate people. And you know what we want people to do is, if you're buying a home, you know, instead of just looking at who has the nicest website, we brought you the best. So when we give you Jackie's phone number, write it down, keep it. Jackie, tell everybody about your company.
Tell me about my company. Well, gosh, I've been in the industry for over 25 years. So it's been around the block a little, which is experience, right? I have learned all the different loan programs that there are to know. I've got, your conventional loans and your FHA loans and your jumbo loans and your VA loans. And we love doing those loans. And we've been super busy with them in the last few years, as you can imagine, when we had interest rates in the twos. But the last few years have been, or the last year and a half, I'll say, has been a little bit more challenging for those types of products because interest rates at current moment, we're probably close to in the sevens at this point for interest rates. So we're hoping they come down. We're thinking somewhere in the next 6 months to a year, we're going to see better rates, but there's still opportunities out there.
Oh, it's great to hear. Well, we're going to jump right into the show because I've got so many questions for you. First, awesome. What is a bank statement and how is it different from like a traditional mortgage loan?
I love that you asked me that question. That's probably my favorite type of
Good
loan.
Question. I'm just glad we've got you because I got tired of answering people's letters going, we've got somebody coming up. She's starting this month.
Yay. I'm so glad to be here. Again, thank you. So bank statement loans, gosh, in a simple way to put it, it's just another way to prove your income, right? So for people that are self-employed, for people that are, small business owners, large business owners, contractors, electricians, plumbers, lawyers, doctors, financial planners, realtors, you name it, truckers. We've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people that own their own business. And sometimes when you have a good CPA, we'll just put it this way, your CPA finds ways to save you money on your taxes. So the bottom line net number on your tax return doesn't always reflect exactly what you really make. You pay less money in taxes that way. So the bank statement loans come into play. And about almost 6 years ago, I think it was, we started with a group of small independent banks and credit unions and said, there's a whole sector of society out there that doesn't or can't get loans because their tax returns just they don't have W-2s and pay stubs, and they're a little more creative, So what we can show you a sector of society that would be a great risk, and they can prove that they can pay their bills, but they just can't do it with the normal way. So this product, we were one of the first people out of the gate with it. Since then, it's kind of come into a lot more people are doing this product now, but we really love it. We're experts at it, and it's a way of proving income. I guess if you could size up the entire mortgage industry in 3 words, okay? Ability to repay. That's it, right? We want to know, how can we get our money back if we're going to loan you money?
Right.
So on a bank statement loan, we can see the cash flow of your business. We can see the money flowing through your bank account if you own a business, and we're going to have some kind of an expense ratio for you, but it's going to be probably a lot less than what we would see if we looked at your tax returns. So tax returns aren't even part of the equation. We don't even look at them. It's strictly bank statements that prove the income. Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I'm looking down at my phone because we're getting texts from viewers right now. There's one of these questions. I've got so many of my own questions, but
Awesome.
This one I've got to ask you because you're hearing about it in the news. I don't know if you know too much about this. The person, Bob, said, first of all, he said, I'm one of the ones who wrote a letter to you asking you to bring on a mortgage broker. But he wants to know, he keeps hearing the president talk about making loans easier for people with bad credit and harder for people with good credit. About that?
You can't always believe everything that you see on the news. These days we've got some crazy stuff happening in the world, which is a whole nother topic for another day. But
Yes.
I would say, common sense thinking rules are the most important, and using bank statement loans, it's all about common sense thinking. It's all about, we do look at credit. We do look at, the income that we can see on the bank statements. We look at your, how well you've paid other people back in the past. We look at, you have a little bit of skin in the game. So you got to have some down payment money, but at the end of the day, if you have a 500 credit score, you probably shouldn't be buying a house. It just, you need to show some responsibility. And so that's my 2 cents on that.
Okay. What are the eligibility requirements for obtaining a bank statement loan? Are they specific to income or credit score criteria? Do they have to meet everything?
Well, it's very similar to any other type of loan that's out there. Obviously, credit is important. The higher your credit score, the better your interest rates, and the lower your down payment amounts. So if you've got a 700 credit score on a bank statement loan, you can put 10% down. If your scores are in the 650 range, you're probably going to need to put 15% down or 20% down for like a purchase, for instance. The other part of the question was,
well, they want to know basically, does everything have to be in order? In other words,
sure.
Can you
The nice
slide
thing
a little bit on the credit score or not?
Well, sure. I mean, credit wise, if your scores are lower, then you would probably need to put a little bit more down payment, right? So obviously the higher you can work on your credit, if you can get your credit scores above 700, then if you're purchasing a home or you're refinancing a home, then you're going to get a little higher loan to value is what it's called. So how much your home is worth versus how much your new loan is going to be. So at 10% down, that's the least amount the bank statement loans require for a purchase. And if you were trying to get what we call cash out refinance, you wanted to pull some equity out of your property, on some of our programs, depending on the lender and investor guidelines, you could maybe go up to 75 or 80% of the value of the home to be able to pull cash out if you wanted with a higher credit score.
What is, and this is just a person, I'm very curious. What are people's credit? Are people's credit any worse now with the economy, or is it still basically about the same?
Most of the people that we work with are traditionally, I would say in the 6s and 700s, that's pretty common. Every once in a blue moon, we'll pop an 800 credit score, but the average person is right in that range. Credit scores are, an indication of what's happening in your life. I am seeing, sometimes a little more debt. People are carrying a little more debt, which will cause your credit scores to go down a little bit.
Right.
So that is the world that we live in now. But, so far we're not seeing a whole lot of defaults yet. So that's good. Yeah. Not in the mortgage space.
Okay. That's good to hear. I guess I worry a lot about when I see what's going on with the economy, and all you have to do is go into a grocery store or a gas station or whatever. And then, we've got this problem with the ceiling debt. So I'm curious, our people's, with the way the debt is right now, is it any different? But it doesn't really sound like it is.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with where you're at in the country too. I mean, as we are here in Orange County, California, where I'm at, it feels like a little bubble here. We're just like sunshine, happy days. Everything seems to be kind of normal around here, and people are still going out to eat. People are still going to the movies. There's still, plenty of business that's happening. But, we drove up to Los Angeles a couple months ago, and it was a different world up there. Not what I'm used to seeing when I go to LA, and it was kind of sad.
Yeah, I have friends in Newport Beach, and I totally agree. It's like what are you talking about? We don't have that here.
Right. I mean, yeah. We'll see what happens with the debt ceiling. We'll see. There could be some interesting times ahead.
So let's talk about lenders again. How do lenders evaluate income and employment stability for a bank statement loan, considering that traditional income verification methods like a W-2 form may not be available?
Well, again, the bank statement loans are looking at the income that we can see using the bank statements as income. So tax returns, like you said, are not required. The W-2s are not part of the equation on a bank statement loan. The nice thing about bank statement loans is we can use common sense thinking, and I'll give you an example. Say, for instance, well, there's two types of bank statement loans. Basically, you can use 12 months of bank statements, which would be the most recent 12 months, or you can have a further look back period, which would be 24 months or 2 years. And sometimes with the 24-month look back period, you'll get a little bit better interest rate because it shows more stability and that sort of thing. But let's talk about what happened in 2020 and 2021. There were a lot of small businesses that suffered because of the, current COVID environment. So we wouldn't probably want to look back for 24 months with that person. But if we can look back at the most recent 12 months on their bank statements and see that business is back up again and things are rolling along and they're making money, then we would use that to be able to create their income, basically, to get the loan. So
are you still doing business by Zoom?
I do everything by phone. Yeah. Everything by phone. Every once in a while we go out and we'll meet a client, if they want that. But the nice thing about Zoom, I think everybody learned, is we can be a lot more efficient, than having to get up and go to meetings and sit there for 2 hours and talk about stuff. We can get everything done right here, right now, just like we're doing today, which is awesome.
Okay. Here, Kathy in Newport Beach. That's who I was just talking about. Wants to know the different types of loans out there.
Different types of loans. Okay, well, in the early stages, when you become a loan officer, right, when we all started out way back when, everybody learns the conventional loans. So conventional loans are like bought by the government. So that's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. You've probably heard those names before.
Yes.
Other government programs are your FHA products, which is kind of a lower down payment product for people that only have maybe 3.5% to put down. And then there's our VA loans for our veterans. We love our veterans. That's the greatest product out there. It's the best interest rate. If you're a veteran, you better take advantage of that. And those are terrific loans, right? But every single one of those loans that I mentioned all require the 2-year history on those tax returns, with some exceptions here and there. for the most part, tax returns are everything. So that bottom line net number on the bottom of those tax returns, if you made 150,000 a year and you had 50,000 in write-offs and your net number was 100,000, the 100,000 would be used to calculate your income towards whatever loan product it is that you're trying to get. Okay. So if you're a
usually
W-2
always
person,
the net.
it's always the net, right? So if you're a W-2 person and you have a steady job and you've been working on your job for 10 years and you get, W-2s at the end of the year and you have your pay stubs that you receive every single month, you should definitely look at a conventional loan or an FHA loan or a VA loan if you're a veteran, right? That's the bottom line. But the bank statement loans, or there's some new product that's coming out for investors that's really, really interesting. We can talk about that another time too, if you like.
Yes.
But the bank statement loans are the new game in town. Different than if you think back to 2008, they had loans that were called stated income or, those types of products, which got us in a world of hurt. If you remember what happened in the housing market and things like that. So that was due to the fact that there wasn't skin in the game. Those types of loans, most of the time people were putting no money down. They were proving zero income, you know what I mean? So that's not smart, right? We don't want to do that. So
it wasn't smart.
No, it was painful for everybody.
Yes.
Our houses all lost value and it was not good. So using the bank statement product, it proves the income. It's a solid product. It just is looking at things in a way that makes sense. So common sense thinking comes into play. If you can have a little common sense thinking for a self-employed person, they should absolutely look at that product. At the same token, if you're self-employed and you think your tax returns might show enough, we could look at those tax returns and see what might work. I'll give you a story. I had a financial planner that came to me and he was in Newport Beach also. And he wanted to purchase a home and we looked at his tax returns and we gave him a pre-approval letter. And his pre-approval letter was for about 1.2 million, I think it was, somewhere in that neighborhood for his purchase price. And he had 20% to put as a down payment. And that would have absolutely fit as a conventional loan. And it would have been great. The problem, I don't know if it was a problem, but his wife found a house that she really liked that was like 2.1 million or something.
Oh, no.
I'm trying to remember. Memory doesn't serve. But nevertheless, it was a lot more than what his pre-approval letter was able to get him using his tax returns. But when we looked at his bank statements, we could see the cash flow. We could see how much money he was really bringing in. And again, with bank statements, they do create an expense factor, but it's not necessarily the same aggressive way that your CPA does, right? Your CPA is like, yeah, we can write off this. We can write off this.
Right.
You don't make any money. Oh, you're poor. Yeah. There's a lot of doctors and attorneys and realtors that are very poor on their tax returns, right?
Yes.
But we're better, right? So they're designed for that. So.
Well, first of all, I want to let everybody know that we're here talking to Jackie Barracon, and she is a mortgage lender. Her phone number is 949 6000944. That's 949-600-0944. You can also go, she's got a great website, www.mylenderjackie.com, or you can go to I love this, talkwithjackie.com. That's a great website. And I want you to write this number down because we have this all the time. Maybe you aren't even thinking about buying a house right now, and all of a sudden, 2 months later, you're thinking about buying a house. You go, I heard that mortgage broker, and God, I wish I'd have written her number down. It's 949-600-0944. Jackie, I'm going to ask you a question.
Directly when you call. So, or if you go to the talkwithjackie.com, you can pick a time that's convenient for you. Just schedule anything and you'll get 20 minutes with me one-on-one, and we'll go through your situation, make sure that you understand everything, and get you a pre-approval letter so you can buy a house.
And you can tell by the show, she definitely knows her stuff. Jackie, I want you to kind of go over this again. How does the interest rate and loan terms for a bank statement loan compared to a traditional mortgage loan?
That's a great question. Let's talk about the investors that purchase these loans. Okay. So the government loans, the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA are all, government related loans. The bank statement loans are purchased by your Wall Street investors, your insurance companies, your hedge funds, your people like that. So, this is a loan that they consider a little bit riskier. I mean, technically they're not. These loans default way less than the other loans. But nevertheless, because they're being a little creative or they're thinking outside the box, they deserve to get paid a little bit more. But it's not that much higher. I would say, back when we were in the twos for interest rates last year, bank statement loans were in the threes. So they're about a point higher than a conventional loan on an average, depending on credit score, depending on a few other factors. So it's not like hard money. It's a little bit higher than conventional, but it makes sense because for some people, they wouldn't be able to get a loan at all, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's so important to have a really good mortgage lender. I've actually had people have told me that the way things were explained didn't make sense, but then again, they didn't ask questions either. They didn't want to look foolish in front of the lender. But I got to tell you, just, talking with you, you really know your business. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I always like ending the interview. Why should I hire your company?
Oh, thanks. Steve, I think it is complicated. Our industry is very complicated. And, there's people that like to use, a lot of acronyms. I remember when I first started in the industry 25 plus years ago, and I was listening to the words that were used, and some of them are so confusing. And that's not how you talk to a client. If I went to the doctor, I wouldn't want to hear all the medical terms in the way that they understand it from what they studied in school. So I like to keep things really simple, and I like to make sure that everybody understands everything, and honesty is important. I'm going to tell it to you as it is, and if it makes sense and it makes sense that it's going to help you, then we're going to do the loan for you. And if it doesn't make sense, then I'll tell you that too. So I think that's, look at our reviews online too. That's another thing too. I think reviews are important. When you can go look at your 5-star reviews, I think that tells you a lot from the people that have worked with you in the past and if they liked you. And so, we're skilled at all types of loan products. We can do anything from the A-paper conventional loans, all the way over to these bank statement loan products, which are our specialty. And we really know that product and we love that product. And that tends to be a major portion of my business. So if you were thinking about bank statement loans, I would love to talk to you. I know anything you want to know, I'll teach you.
I believe that. Now, do you just cover the Los Angeles, Orange County area?
We're all over the state of California, anywhere in California.
I'm so glad to hear that because somebody from the Bay Area just wanted to know if you cover that. So
Yep.
That is wonderful. The name of your company is Summit Lending.
Summit
The
Lending.
phone number is 94. I'm sorry?
Oh, sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Summit Lending, right?
Yes.
949-600-0944, Jackie Barracon. Her website is mylenderjackie.com or talkwithjackie.com. And she'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. The great news is she's going to be back again with us next month.
Yay.
And I've got so many more questions, Jackie.
Awesome.
I'm so glad you're part of our show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
We will see you next month.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Steve.
Jackie Barracon. I said her name right. Summit Lending, 949-600-0944. So our next expert, I cannot wait to introduce you because I have sleep apnea. I sound like an alcoholic or something. I am addicted. Well, I have sleep apnea. And we found the sweetest lady who knows sleep apnea, knows the problems that for sure that I went through. And now I have a CPAP machine. But she has a technique that I'm hoping she's going to get me out of my CPAP machine. Let me welcome you to now my good friend, Janet Bennett.
Hello. Thanks for having me on. Stop
Boy, you
snoring,
are in a big
stop,
you're in a big area, Janet. We
stop
are now.
snoring losangeles.com.
Yes. And actually from our last show, it's actually california.com because we got 2 calls from the Bay Area.
Okay.
Janet, you're going to be my angel.
Okay.
And, you know, because you're going to be my well, I have a main savior, but you're going to be my other savior.
Okay.
So listen, if you snore, if you have a partner, whether it's a wife or husband that snores, you do not want to miss today's show. I want to introduce you to my friend Janet Bennett. Janet, tell everybody about your practice.
Okay. Well, I'm a speech pathologist, have a master's degree in speech pathology, and I have had my own practice for close to 40 years, if not more, and worked with a lot of speech therapists. And in our field, you learn quite often how to specialize in a certain thing that interests you. And I became very interested in treating tongue thrust. And I don't know how many of your viewers or listeners
Tell everybody
know.
what tongue thrust is.
Yeah, tongue thrust is, I'm sure you've seen people who have buck teeth, or you've seen people who have an open bite where their teeth won't close. And that's because when they swallow, their tongue pushes the back of their teeth, or it comes between their teeth when they swallow. So those kinds of things are very bad for their teeth, of course. And so orthodontists want to fix their bite so their teeth are gorgeous. But if they don't send them first to someone like me, then their teeth will go right back where they were when the braces come off. And I've worked with people who have had 3 sets of braces, and finally the orthodontist said, "Oh, let's get this tongue thrust fixed." So a tongue thruster is a mouth breather. Okay. Tongue thruster has a wide tongue, as more than half of the people in the world have a tongue that's too wide. But a tongue thruster, when they sleep, their tongue just kind of helps their lips fall apart. And so they find themselves mouth breathing at night. Now, one night comes and they start snoring because they're mouth breathing and air is going in and out, and just kind of passing through with that uvula, that thing that hangs down in the back of your throat. And so that makes the noise. Okay, now, if you do that for a long time and you get louder and louder, that can turn into sleep apnea. So here we go. Tongue thrust, mouth breathing, snoring, sleep apnea. Sleep apnea happens when your tongue totally closes up your airway and you stop breathing. And so there's a part of your brain that will wake you up and you go, you have to snort yourself awake, and your head does that, and your significant other jumps. And anyway, but that is what saved your life. And some people, that part of the brain doesn't work for them. So that's not a good thing. But anyway, so that's how all of these things are connected. So you'll hear from me about correcting tongue thrust or mouth breathing. I've come up with a program of just tongue exercises that fix all of it. So don't think that you've got the wrong thing if you hear tongue thrust. It's all, the exercises help all of these problems, which is great.
First, listen, Janet, we don't want to scare people, but see, a lot of people do not understand about sleep apnea and they kind of blow it off, but it's very dangerous.
Yes, it is, because some people okay. So if you think you have sleep apnea, or if your doctor, normally I think your doctor would be the one to refer you for an overnight sleep study. And I also think that today they are now coming out with these things you put on your finger and you can wear it at home. It's an in-home sleep study. So you don't have to go and, sleep in front of all
stay overnight, right?
Right, right. But anyway, so they send you for that, and if you wake up during the night 5 times an hour or less, then that's not considered sleep apnea. Okay, but you probably still have some symptoms because you're still mouth breathing. Okay, so a lot of people have severe sleep apnea and they might stop breathing 65 to 80 times an hour, if not more. But if you think about what I just said, that's at least 1 time a minute. If you stop
Yes.
breathing 1 time a minute, what's it doing to your heart? Every time you snort to wake up, what's happening? It's really weakening your heart. And so that's the big terrible thing that could happen. So to stop snoring, to stop mouth breathing would take care of that problem.
You said something. Janet and I do another show, and you said something I kind of glossed over, but it is so important, Janet. When you have sleep apnea and you're waking up so many times, you're not getting proper rest, proper sleep. And I got to tell you, you reminded me of something. I found myself falling asleep sometimes at the wheel all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Yep,
And there are a lot of auto accidents of people
you're
who
right.
fell asleep because they don't get proper sleep with sleep
Right.
apnea.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Okay, so lots of accidents happen. Machinery, accidents with it on your job. If you are not sleeping well, you've got to be aware of that. But the sleep, whenever you breathe through your mouth at night, you can't you cannot get into REM sleep. I don't
Right.
care what you do. You cannot get to REM sleep. So that means you are not going to get good sleep. Period. So you can wake up with a dry mouth. You can wake up with a headache that lasts just a few minutes. You can wake up with a sore throat that goes away in a few minutes. You can have daytime sleepiness, okay, or driving home from work at night, or after lunch, or when you're eating. After you're done eating, you might, because you're mouth breathing, you might feel bloated. You might have stomach issues. There are all kinds of things that come because of mouth breathing. And most of the people can't imagine connecting being bloated with mouth breathing or whatever. That it's just amazing what things will get better when you learn how to breathe through your nose.
Well, I listen, and we talked about this the other day too. A lot of people won't admit that they snore. I was one of them. My wife kept saying, "Stop snoring." And I go, "I'm not snoring." But you do. Snoring is not anything to be embarrassed
Right,
about.
right,
I mean, it's actually a medical condition.
right.
Tell people. I love the story of the athlete who came, whose mother brought them in to see you.
Okay. Okay. So this was in 2003. So it's 2023. So 20 years ago is when my life was totally changed. I was treating a 14-year-old football player for a tongue thrust. Okay. So that means that when he swallowed, his tongue didn't start in the right place in his mouth. So everything else got messed up. Okay. So I have a program that's 7 weeks long. You have to do tongue exercises, which they aren't hard and it doesn't hurt. So he had already done 2 weeks worth of exercises, came to see me the third week. His mother came in the door and she said, "Janet, what are you doing to Adam?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, he's always been the loudest snorer in the world. The windows rattle at our house, and now he's not making a sound." I didn't know anything about snoring, but I thought, okay. I said, "Adam, tell me more. What's happening?" And he said, "Well, it's true." He said, "I can concentrate in school more. I'm getting more rest. I'm making better grades. And here it is, I run faster." So to me, the fact that he said he ran faster seemed more important than the fact that he slept better or
Right.
whatever. you know. So of course, that was exciting. I got on the internet and I knew I was going to find that they correct snoring with tongue exercises. Okay. No, I didn't find that. No, they want to lop off your uvula. They want to break your jaw and move it forward so that your airway's bigger. Okay. They want to sell you a $6,000 appliance, dental appliance that will do something. Oh, here's one. One of those appliances has this, it's a pretty solid contraption, but there's a hole in the middle. And the hole is for you to stick your tongue through that hole so it won't fall down and block your airway. Now, I
Oh
can't
my
make that
gosh.
up. Okay. So when you're sleeping, you've got your tongue sticking through this hole. Okay. So see, that's what happens. So when you snore, your tongue, it has the ability to suction itself. And so what happens is gravity starts pulling your tongue down. You know, you're laying down and maybe on your back or whatever. And so when you're snoring, your airway is partially blocked with your tongue. Okay. So it's when that tongue gets so fat and happy and really relaxed later on as you keep snoring that it's allowed to go all the way and close up your entire airway. And that's when the sleep apnea shows up. Okay. But anyway, so because of this guy, his name was Adam, I decided that I had to save the whole world. But you know, I
She
couldn't
means
sit
that
on
too.
this. I couldn't sit on this information. It was too easy. Oh, and the things I found on the internet, all these different ways, treatments, none of them worked. Even the CPAP machine back then, CPAP machines, 4% of the people who owned a CPAP used it. 4%.
Wow.
And the rest of them had it in their closet. Okay. So
Jenny, no, I want to, I forget to say this every time. There was a doctor down here that advertised a surgery that he did that would make you stop snoring. And he really, really, I mean, he had ads everywhere. And I just realized I haven't seen an ad in probably 4 or 5 years. And it's like, maybe that didn't work as well
that's
as they
right.
thought.
That's right. That's right. There are lots of different, one show, Steve, we ought to talk about all the other things that are available. That would be
Oh my, I
fun
can talk about
to
those.
find out about those. But anyway, let me tell you right quick. Okay, because of what happened with Adam, the football player, and I felt a need to save everyone. I knew I couldn't, so I needed to develop a program that had all the exercises. You strengthen and tone your tongue exercise, your tongue muscles, so that you can train it to live on the roof of your mouth. That's what it is. That's all it's about. When you
Wow.
do that, you can't breathe through your mouth. You're forced to breathe through your nose. That
That's
takes care of the other problem. Okay. And when your tongue learns to be up there, it trains you how to swallow differently. So if you do have a tongue thrust, you don't thrust your tongue when you swallow anymore. It takes care of all of that with, the same exercises. Okay. So I did that and I found advertising, word of mouth. I found 86 people all over the United States who wanted to be my guinea pigs. I offered to treat them for free, of course, because I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, I was growing this new program. Okay. I wanted them to help me word it so it was easy to understand, because the person had to be able to get it online and not need me necessarily, even though I'm a lot more available now. But anyway, so I did that over a course of 8 months. I treated all those 86 people and 94% stopped snoring.
That's amazing.
Period.
I'll take 94% any day of the week.
You don't need to know anymore. That's it.
And I'm going to just I am going to start this next week. And I am, let me just back up. We're not putting down the CPAP machine.
No.
We're not, that's not what we're doing here. What we're doing, I sleep with the CPAP machine. It is the most uncomfortable way to sleep. But you do stop snoring, though.
And you feel
What?
better when you wake up, right? I mean,
Oh, so much better. But I got to
okay.
tell you,
Energy.
I'm going to feel so much better if I don't have to wear the mask anymore.
Okay. Okay. We'll make it happen. Yeah, that sounds
So
good. Okay.
I am
So,
so excited that you found this because, Janet, there's so many people out there that snore
I know.
and don't even know it's probably sleep apnea.
I think that
They
might be
don't
the
go to
number.
these
I
sleep.
think that might be the number 2 reason for divorce, snoring.
I believe that. I totally believe
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So let me tell you something else that we do with this program. If some people will tell you that their tongue is just too big for their mouth and they literally don't know where it should go or what to do with it. Okay. Actually, it can't go anywhere and there are only many things you can do with it. But what we can do, I've discovered, is that we can make your tongue skinnier. Now, how are we going to do that? I've had a lot of mothers who say, "Oh, I'll tell you that in a minute." So I invented this stick. It's called the tongue stick because I couldn't think of anything else. So this tongue stick is it's kind of weird, but it is the best thing about this program. And all you're going to do is you are going to stroke the sides of your tongue. You are going to learn how to do an isometric exercise with your tongue and the stick. You're going to do all kinds of weird things with it, but none of this hurts. It's not hard and it doesn't take long to do. You've got to practice 2 times a day. And so I have created videos. I'm sitting at my desk in my exercise room, and you come in, you go to a website, you've got the password, and you come in to see me for lesson 1, and I'm there. I'll do the exercises for you. You copy me. You don't have to read anything. You don't have to remember anything. You just copy me. And then you leave and you come back the second time that day, or maybe you can do those yourself that evening or whatever.
how
It's
long do they do it for, Janet?
maybe 15 minutes. It
Okay,
doesn't
that's
take
nothing.
long. Doesn't take long at all. And like I said, you don't have to think about it. Okay, we're strengthening your muscles in your tongue. Yeah, but anyway, so this tongue stick is very important. And what I was going to say about parents, when parents come in with their children, if I'm treating them, they'll say, "Oh, can we use this on other parts of our body?" Because that hasn't worked yet. Okay, now if anybody uses my tongue stick and gets some good things out of that, we've got to hear about it. But anyway, it's an easy program. Like I said, it doesn't hurt and it will change your life. You will wake up feeling refreshed. You won't have a headache. You won't get sleepy during the day. You'll have energy. I mean, people tell me, "Wow, I can't believe all the things I cleaned in my house this morning. I had so much energy."
Is
And
the energy from because now you're getting better sleep?
yes, because okay, when you breathe through your mouth, you get dirty, cold air in. Okay.
Okay.
When you breathe through your nose, you get warm, cleaned, filtered air because of those hairs in your nose. Okay, there's this gas that we make, and it's called not nitrous, nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is made mostly in your sinus areas. Okay. When you breathe through your mouth, your body, oh, wait, before I say that, nitric oxide is what keeps regulating your blood flowing, the oxygen level, and it touches probably just about every organ in your body as far as helping to maintain and regulate. Okay, I'm not a doctor, so don't quote me on any of that, but you can research it and see. It is the gas that's the most needed. So when you breathe through your mouth, your body doesn't release that nitric oxide that's up here. So you're sleeping with your mouth open, and it only has to be open a little bit, but your body is not able to have access to that important gas that is made. So when you breathe through your nose, all of a sudden your body can make nitric oxide, and you are allowed to get into REM sleep. And that's what makes you feel so great when you wake up.
You know, Janet, I don't even know if I've told you this before, but I was so, not past tense, impressed with you because you, first of all, you never promised, 100%. It's not a pill. It's not a tape that goes on your nose. It's not an apparatus that you put in your mouth. It's exercises. So you're not coming on like you're an ENT doctor. You're coming from success, something that makes so much sense that it's like, what is it going to hurt to try it? And, it's so easy, 15 minutes a day,
Right.
not to have to wear a mask the rest of your life.
Right. And I'm sure a lot of people are sitting there wondering, well, what happens after the 7 weeks are up? And I've done
Right.
all 7 lessons. I'm sleeping good. I'm feeling great. But now what's going to happen? Am I going to go back the way I was? Well, so first of all, I have a little maintenance program that's included in the rest of the program. But what happens is when you get in the habit, so you're going to form new habits. When you get in the habit of breathing through your nose and of keeping your tongue on the roof of your mouth, then it's going to stay there because it has muscle memory. Your tongue remembers where it's supposed to go. Okay. Now, if you were to get sick with a bad cold and you couldn't breathe through your nose, or if you have really bad allergies, let's say seasonal allergies, and you can't breathe through your nose, during that time, you are allowed to breathe through your mouth or you will die. Okay.
Wow.
So you can do it then. But then after that cold is gone, you should just automatically go back into that new habit you had formed and start breathing through your nose again. And that shouldn't be an issue. But the maintenance program gives you some little exercises that you can do if you ever feel like, oh, I'm not picking up on my habit as quickly as I should. So just give a few exercises to do to remember where it's supposed to be. Okay.
Janet, give everybody at least ones that are listening on radio because they
Okay.
can't see the screen. Give them your phone number and your website address.
Okay, so it's www.stopsnoringlosangeles.com, area 828-285-8814.
Well, I'm telling you, a next show will be next week will be next Tuesday. And right after that, I'm going to start on the program.
Okay.
And every week I'm going to report to you. I really think it's going to work. I really believe it's going to work. It makes
will.
sense.
Oh, and I do, if I may throw this in, it will work because you can breathe through your nose. Now, listeners and people who are watching, if you cannot physically breathe through your nose, you cannot take my program.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. I mean, don't even waste your time on it. But when I learn that people, have that problem, I send them to an ENT and say, fix this person's nose. It's serious. You just stop and think, oh my goodness, if I don't go and get my nose fixed so I can breathe through it, I will forever be this way. I will forever be tired and miserable and sick. So go get it fixed. It may take a couple of months to get everything straightened out, but that's okay. Then you can start my program.
Janet, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will see you again, Janet Bennett. Thank you. And we'll see you all next week with more Ask the Experts. Have a good week, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.